Welcome to the new studios of the Corey Shepherd podcast. Salute. I know applause button, the applause button cries across. So, and this, if you're listening to this for the first time or you're viewing this for the first time on YouTube, just be aware that this is not, in fact, the new studio. But sometimes when you go foreign, you have to make things happen, you know what I mean? Happy fly out. Happy Happy fly out. Happy fly out from the British Airways. We happy fly out in Jamaica. From Caribbean Airlines, we have to fly out. Hey, let me tell you something. Nobody better to tell me nothing about consistency in life again. On vacation and people watching me sideways because I come quite here and find a podcasting studio. All right, stop. I can't hear my ears in this thing. I'm so accustomed to my own setup. But I'm back. Welcome to episode 108 of the Corey Shepherd podcast. Welcome back to all the people who are custom listening, and welcome to all the new listeners. See fancy camera, so a camera on this side. I don't even know if I know how to edit all them camera, but we in big foreign, and we say we still have to feed the streets and give people a podcast. So salute to my boy Londale from HGAB Studios. Anytime you're in Miami and you're in your studio, go to HGAB Studios. No other podcasting doing this for you know. I'm a blasted round of applause. Only know how often I would be pressing that round of applause if that thing was right here. Only get away from that today. Yet since we in big foreign and I had no time because I tell only my business too. Here I went on. I walking real slow. And but the foot thing work for the airport. But let me tell you what the foot thing do work. You see these mall, they call Dolphin Mall and Sawgrass Mills. The foot thing ain't working. So tell Sergey I will see him soon. Very, very soon. And hopefully I will get it sorted out because I worried. I should be good. But I worried because that amount of walking was not a good plan. And let me tell you, it's a Miami hot like hell. This place is 100 degrees on a good day. Me accustomed to this kind of heat around. Everybody who talking to you, telling you, well, you're from Trinidad. You're accustomed to in Trinidad. You're accustomed with heat. We're not accustomed to this kind of heat here. It's the worst. And you see these Uber drivers too. I want to tell these Yankees something, right? Before I get into the meat of the thing today. And listen, I ain't foreign, so there's a foreign podcast. All I'm going to be talking about is thing what happened in foreign. So if you come to expect me to talk about who on who, and who do, these kind of topics is make me uncomfortable. And I don't know when since man gets so brave that man laughing at man who get what is happening here? And here the men who laughing at who get honor. A man who have evidential documentation via video of people telling them they my woman. And the next man who have thing before the court and all this kind of thing. Nobody am voting for the man, but don't mind your thing before the court. When you had these issues, I see man who are thing before the court saying maybe Rowley should try unconditional love. Trinidad is people are the most among the belly in this world. You get where I'm coming from? But back to these Yankees, right? I have a little budget and I'm trying to stick to my budget. My family is here. Zachary tell me he was coming and record this podcast with me. You know, the man like Miami bad. He wants to go and swimming pool, thing that I can't do. So the man leave me alone. He tell me, go and check out these studios now and call me if you need me. That is the man response to me. That is what I come to in this life, you understand? Hey, you only like my little flag on the screen? I'll give myself a clap. Nothing else I coming up on that screener, but this little HGAB here, give me some ideas as to how I could make my studio look a little less like a jail cell. Anyway, I put my little budget in place to come here and I say, well, all right, when I come here, this is how much I spend and I don't want to go over budget. I give people the Dolphin Mall budget by the Sawgrass budget by, you know. But one thing I don't like in this country, I'll tell all you know, I don't know how all these handle this when I travel here. You see the tipping thing, they will get a hate meal. I don't understand why if a meal is $20, why I had to put 20% on top of that. Why I had to be paying your staff? You can't pay your own staff for you have an establishment, right? You hire people to do this, that, and the third for you. Waiter, bus boy, whatever you call them and thing. That the man work. Them people telling me that the man had no salary. He just basically waiting on customers to come there, to treat customers nice and to talk to them nice, so he go make he tip. I don't understand it. Uber ain't hiring a single person. So it means that when you work your Uber fare, it must have some kind of way that you split up how much you're supposed to get. If the Uber costs $20, what is we really doing when I had to add a tip on top of that? You and Uber didn't work out something saying, well, all right, Uber go take 6 and you go take 14. I had to put something on top of your 14. You don't do the work and you drive me where I'm supposed to go. I don't understand this thing at all. That beating me to death in this country. And I tell them only now that they don't like me at all because I'm not tipping nobody. Especially Uber drivers. I hope they have somebody who's come over here and make a hustle driving their Uber. And I want to let you know to tell your colleagues, you know, they have all their Uber group meeting, all their family day and thing, all their group chat for Uber drivers. Tell them it don't matter how nice you talk. You ain't have a cent to get. Hey, but time short, because it was some more Uber. I couldn't find the place. To be honest with you, me and the Uber driver get lost, so I short time. I pay for good time to move a whole podcast now, but now I short time. So we go into Yankee news now. Statement by President Joe Biden on the sentencing of wrongfully detained American Brittany Griner. No, there's nothing to laugh at, right? Let me read the thing as is, right? Today, American citizen Brittany Griner received a prison sentence that is one more reminder of what the world already knew. Russia is wrongfully detaining Brittany. It's unacceptable, and I call Russia to release her immediately so she can be with her wife, loved ones, friends, and teammates. My administration will continue to work tirelessly and pursue every possible avenue to bring Brittany and Paul Whelan home safely as soon as possible. Now, I go play, I know who's Paul Whelan, and he get locked up with Brittany. I study this Brittany here, because that's what the rest of the world studying too, right? Everybody's studying the superstar. So if you haven't followed any story, American black basketball player, and it's sad to see, because think of it, she's a basketball player, and because of her height now, there's a problem when they carry her in this court in Russia. She had to kind of bend down. Apparently, when you're in court in Russia, you're in a cage, in the court. They bring the jail in the court. You can't escape at all, you know what I mean? In Trinidad here, you're in jail, or you're in a holding cell below the thing on wherever our Hall of Justice is. I tell you my story about being on jury duty there, and I sit down on jury duty with people that enter the court. And I saw here handcuff come off, shackles come off, and man walking in the court free. Free to mark my face and go back in the jail and make phone call and all that. But anyway, Brittany Griner could barely stand up inside the little cell they put her in. She had a halfway bend down to be there. And it's a sad sight to see, and nobody don't want to, I personally don't believe in jails, but I'm surprised that the president of the jail capital of the world, there's nobody who incarcerates people like America. But all of a sudden, the president of America find that Brittany being, all of a sudden, there's Brittany here on a first name basis now, like he play basketball too. They're treating Brittany unfairly and all these things. America is not a country I will ever understand. Think of this, right? Americans generally, when you hear them talking, any podcast, any news story on YouTube or anything, they're saying, well, we've come such a long way and weed laws have changed and all these kind of things. Listen, you have 40,000 people. My last check is that 40,000 people across the states still incarcerated now for marijuana and marijuana-related offenses. It's the greatest thing I've ever seen. This is your incarceration rate across the country for marijuana, which you say have a gentle view on and you've evolved and things decriminalized. I mean, right here in Miami, right, when I was coming, I had to check out the weed law situation with this Brittany Griner thing. I said, well, let me make sure I know what's the weed laws in these people places. But when I check it out, it said marijuana is not legal in Miami. Then just recently in Florida passed something that say you could do some medicinal marijuana. And that's about it. That's punto final. So I don't know which parties get dispensary and all them things. Unless I see the word legal, conk me out. All I could tell you is which part I stay in, right? There's some people, when you smell, in the States, they say you're smelling loud. You're smelling a whole loud pack of people when they go into these things. I said, how it is always say is medicinal. But then again, the people might have glaucoma. Just today, I went Miami Beach or South Beach or one of them, and a girl passed this smelling loud. When I watch she good, she still has a little roach and she hadn't passing smoking or blunt or whatever the brown one is, right? So, in this country where laws relaxed to the point where people could walk on the beach and smoke, people could buy medicinal marijuana, places like California, places like Colorado, where it's legal, you could get it at any amounts and no problems, all you still have 40,000 people locked up. But instead, all you study to free them 40,000 people, all you studying one person in Russia and making it sound like if Russia's so unreasonable because of nobody don't lock up people like all you. I'm shy. Listen, this is shocking for me. I don't know if Joe Biden just wake up and he realize what's the situation, but I'm hoping that he have some kind of statement to make about the amount of people who locked up here. They have a country where, no, put it in perspective, right? 40,000 people locked up for weed. Sounds like a small amount because of how much people living in these states. But I just want to tell you that Tobago population is about 60,000. So which means 2/3 of Tobago. 2/3 of Tobago lock up for marijuana right now in a place where several states have at least gone where Florida gone and say you could have marijuana for medicinal purposes or you could have small amounts of marijuana. And even where it's still illegal, they have very relaxed laws. In other words, the police ain't taking you on like I see this morning with the police. But I mean, all right, Biden. All you fellas say release them as soon as possible and all your working ties. Hear what you say? His administration will continue to work tirelessly and pursue every possible avenue to bring Brittany and Paul home. Put some of that tireless work into freeing your own citizens, because in this country, black people more likely, 3 times more likely to get arrested for marijuana offenses across all states. On average, you're 3 times more likely. So apparently you had to play basketball. If it's a star, then they stick. I mean, fact, why am I surprised at that? America is the marketing capital of the world and the place where they like star power more than anything else and reality TV and these things. So unless your story could get big views and big ratings, you really have no hope to get off or any hope to get any kind of reprieve or even enter the conversation where people feeling sorry for you. I mean, and I put in it out that I also don't think Brittany Griner should be locked up on Paul, whatever Paul name. I don't think they should be locked up either. I don't think anybody should be locked up on for marijuana. I mean, come on. If you want to say that the offenses like murder, rape, where they have some kind of victim, or they know my story with victimless crime already, I don't understand why you're locking people up for that for, and what sense that could possibly make for their rehabilitation, and what they're rehabbing from exactly if they're not doing anything to the society. It's no victim in this situation. Smoke a little weed, you get a little high. You know what I mean? But salutes and prayers go out to Brittany Griner. And, you know, Russia's so smart, right? When they try to trade a prisoner, because Russia say in only 8 point something million people are locked up in your country because they have 40,000 for weed, but there are 8 million people in jails across this country, right? That's about 7 point something times the size of Trinidad. You get me? Lock up across this country. If only want back Brittany, we go send back Brittany for only because they give Brittany a ridiculously long sentence. I think it's 9 years if I was mistaken. It's 9 or 19 years, a long, long sentence. They say, well, here what? Give me back so and so. They're one of them citizens. They say, if you give us back that guy, we'll go only back Brittany. When you find out who the man name is the merchant of death. Like he's some kind of suspected terrorism and them kind of thing. So at least I'm glad Biden and them don't let go he, right? As a matter of fact, don't let go he while I here. I don't come here in this country already where as soon as I reach the island, the men say it have a monkeypox outbreak. I have a monkeypox state of emergency. Since then, my skin scratching. I can't see my way. So I'll take it easy on me in this country now. In more foreign news, coming from the TV6. That is the name, TV6. We TV6, right? The local TV6. TV6 from this side. Fitzgerald Hines say a 6-month ban on scrap iron is in place. That's one of the several measures the government plans to implement to tackle the theft of TSTT cables, WASA pipelines, manholes under the state's infrastructure. National Security Minister says one incident is being linked to a plot which is being monitored by the country's intelligence agencies. Now, when we first discussed this scrap iron thing, right? This was one of the main things I was talking about. What driving this scrap iron is the fact that men getting paid in US dollars, which hard to come by because just to come here, for me to get US, I had to send Scotia email, ask them for thing. I had to hop and drop to Scotia twice because they tell me I can't get that US. I ain't talking about a big amount of US neither, but you can't get that in one buy. Then Stacy went about 3 different branches of Scotia Bank to get 200-300 US. No set of money I talking about. And it's a real struggle to get US. So I don't know what they expect to happen when you have an industry where things are, I don't want to say easily available to people, but let me just call it low-hanging fruit, right? Ever certain amount of low-hanging fruit in cables and different scrap metals, particularly copper, lying all throughout the country. So the TSTT lines is one. That's been there since I was working TSTT back in the day. Manhole cover is one. Somebody was telling me that one time they break up all the speed bumps in that area to get the steel that they use to make up the speed bump. It's a terrible situation and is a nuisance to everybody because TSTT don't seem to want the copper lines or want to do anything about it because they just leaving it there and if how it hang it swing as far as them concerned. That's from what I see it. And what they're leaving is all these set of cables hanging because when they cut it and they run, or sometimes they come at the AR-15 when they come to cut it to make sure that don't interfere with them. But it's unsightly. The wires above overhead in many areas done unsightly already. That's something I remember seeing in Jamaica. Was the first place I noticed it. A place called Back 2. Boy, if you see how much line it have going across, but they say in Jamaica that part of the problem in Back 2, which was Portia Simpson area, if I remember right, they say a part of the issue in Back 2 was that people were stealing current a lot. So when you have a lot of people stealing current, they're making illegal connections. And with those illegal connections now, you're finding that people, they run it haphazard and unsightly. I could put it like that. So once they start doing it like that, you have a problem to manage and maintain that as with JPS over there, what would have been TNTech in Trinidad. You can't maintain that. I mean, TNTech would have had to go and do something about it, whether it's illegal lines or people stealing the cable. Matter of fact, they can't try to thief them high tension wire cable. TNTech does do. Maybe that's the way to solve the problem. Fitzgerald Hines, instead of banning the export, right, where you should come and say is, we have just discovered massive amounts of copper in TNTech network. And the first man go and try to cut one of them and get a little shocking vibes. I bet you all the rest of them stops. We current will go for a little while, right? But that's about it. It will never happen again. And I don't know. I was thinking, to be honest with you, that there are lots of people. If I had to guess, I would have said most people are already off of TSTT's network and they're on Flow or Digicel or one of them things. But apparently, I have a good bit of people with landlines who's suffering from when these cables cut and we can't get nothing. Flow not showing. TSTT internet wasn't working in some areas because of it and all that. So it's a sad situation to see. And not even sad, just a complete nuisance. And the head of the, what you call them, Scrap Iron Dealers Association, these people wicked to even try to defend their people and talking about there's employ all kind of people and them employ ex-cons. And I was like, you know, I understand. I mean, employ some ex-cons. You know, ex-cons need work too, but the work can't be that I go and just thief scrap iron from all over the place and copper in particular and sell it because you make in USA. Remember they was talking last week about the selfishness of our society. This is exactly what I was talking about. You know? So we there, and one of the fellas who was in this big protest and leading the whole thing, when they check he had one set of thing there from TNTech, pole and all. This man is whole pole going, where they would have gone and set up an area. Like it seems as though they set up the infrastructure in the area because when, in my mind, right, and tell me if you think this way too. When you hear the Tiffin cable or the Tiffin scrap metal, I thinking is all things that are moving it, not so? Well, when you see the little pictures from the man's scrapyard, what they call it a scrapyard, the pictures on it is basically brand new aluminum, like poles, like them going to sell that up the island. So you trying to defend this thing by saying, oh gosh, the government's so wicked, they're stopping good work and from people who need it the most. And you know, Munilal and them have a press conference to say that the government's so wicked and why they're stopping this thing. And but maybe one of the things that we could do, you know, we kind of like to solve symptoms and not problems. A man told me that last week. I used to hear about that in a class called organizational behavior back in the day. Taught by a lady named Helena Adai. Salute Miss Adai. And she used to talk about symptoms and not causes, you know. And she was talking about organizational problems. You know, sometimes in our business, and you see absenteeism, and you say, oh God, but we have an absenteeism problem. And she used to always ask us, is absenteeism the problem? Is that what we're trying to solve? Is that what's called, you know? So she used to say this is a symptom of a greater problem. So what we used to do is symptoms, problems, and causes. You see when the UE and them thing is really teach you how to analyze things. So our role was to analyze, okay, this is a symptom of a greater problem. And if we could get to the cause of it, maybe we could solve the problem and the symptom will disappear. How a song like Dr. Sergida? So I think this symptom that is this scourge of copper wire being theft, what is it called? Thieved, stolen. The copper wire that being stolen all over the place. That is a symptom of a situation where there's a high level of unemployment, a high level of inflation. US dollars are very hard to access. And the exchange rate might not be where it needs to be. We have an exchange rate now that is about 6 point something to 1. Let me say 6.7, right? How much you would be willing to pay for US now if you could get the amount of US cash you wanted to leave? Scrap that question for a second. Forget the cash, right? Cash unsafe to walk around with and all them kind of thing. One of my credit cards have a limit on it that says how much US I could spend per month. I could tell you that by the time I pay Netflix and pay my little Gmail thing and all the little things we had to pay for, that limit done for the month. So I had to have a next credit card just so I could have US to spend in the States. How much would you pay for US if you had to repay in TT and spend in US only? If you could have gotten whatever amount of US you travel with, right? Let me say you travel at 500 US, you're spending big, you're traveling at 5,000, 6,000 US, you're going and shop. I have a partner the other day tell me it's loud money when he going on a cruise, loud money he and your wife have, uncountable, infinite amount of money. Tell me how much you would have paid for US. Because it's the same demand and supply we're talking about. If it is you willing to pay more for the US, it just means that the price of the US is lower than where it needs to be. It will affect the supply. Because if I have US in my pocket right now, right? By the way, by the time you see me again, assume that I have some US in my pocket, right? And make more offer. But if you offer me $5, you can't get me US. If you offer me $6, you can't get me US. A matter of fact, if you offer me the exchange rate of $6.70 exactly, I might say, but wait, what's selling this US for when I'm going to struggle to buy back US when it's time for me to travel again? So maybe I'll hold on to this US, under my mattress. If I just keep it home, I didn't want to put it in the bank or nothing. Because sometimes you put it in the bank and you open a US account and you can't even get to withdraw the US from the bank when it's time for you to go. You have to send an email months in advance. So don't hustle, no travel. Don't say today for tomorrow you want to fly out. You have to plan this well in advance if you want your cash, right? $7 maybe, you know what I mean? But if you offer me $8 or $9, now I start to study weight. I'm making a profit on this US number one. And it start to become a little harder to hold on to. That makes sense? So this is the thing about the exchange rate, right? I'm meaning to talk about this for some time, eh? And this not on the docket here. And I reached here late in this people place. So I have to come out just now. But let me go through one of the issues of exchange rate real quick before I move on to the next topic. When the exchange rate, what we call depreciate, right? So in other words, is six. Let me use simple figures, right? If it's 6-1 now, let me say the exchange rate go to 1-1. So every TT dollar you have, you could now get a US dollar. Where things going to start happening? Well, I can tell you for me, I will be recording this podcast in Miami going forward because I'm moving over here. Because if I take my same salary and I could convert that to US, it means that I could spend, it was 1-1. I could spend my TT dollars over here basically, or get 1-1 and come here and live. So I want to get paid in TT and live over here. Unfortunately, that's not the case. It's 6-1, right? So whatever your salary is, if you're making $6,000 a month, you only have $1,000 when you come here. And you might be able to live on $1,000 when you reach here. But if I had 6,000 TT a month and I could take that 6,000 TT and get 6,000 US, with 6,000 US, I could do a thing. I could pay a rent for 1,200. I could shop till I drop like this. You know, exactly. I mean, how much clothes you could really need. I could do that for however long I want and live a decent life. You understand where I'm coming from? Well, don't ask for the people who are the upper echelons, who win the tens of thousands of dollars. You moving away same time. You're not coming back to that. Let me look at the reverse, which is the dollar appreciating, which we seem to want. Sorry, if I go 1-1, that is appreciating, right? Our dollar getting stronger towards the US dollar. Let's look at if it depreciates. It's 6-1 now. Let's assume it moved to 100-1. So let me use that same $6,000 figure. Now your $6,000 TT could only buy 60 US. I could tell you some of the things that go happen one time. You're canceling Netflix. If Netflix is 10 US a month, there's 2,000 of your dollars gone there. Or how much ever, math's bad, but plenty of your money gone. If you only have 60 US to spend, will you spend $10? Will you spend 10 of those dollars on Netflix? Would you still have your Amazon account? You'll probably cancel that too. You're not spending no more US. These trips to Miami will become prohibitively expensive because if a ticket to Miami is $300, it means that when I sell my 6,000 TT, I get 60 US. It's 5 months I had to work for and spend my whole salary on a trip to Miami. I ain't buy nothing yet and I ain't eat nothing. I ain't pay all these wicked Uber people who want tips right through. You ain't do nothing yet. So the issue is this. Economists have been saying for a long time that TT dollar needs to depreciate and that will free up the demand for US dollars. So I hear one man saying it should be 10-1, it should be 15-1. The reason we as a population don't like it is because it will slow down imports. We will not be able to live the lifestyles we live and import the things that we want and be buying all these new I ain't calling no names, but there are people who every week they buy a new Apple product. That kind of thing will stop if the dollar go from 10 to 1 or 15 to 1. So the population don't like that, so that is why they're not doing it. And they're not doing it. I'm telling you why they ain't doing it too, is because whoever do it first go lost the election, but whoever do it first will also stabilize the economy. How the hell that have anything to do with scrap iron people? If you address the issues in society in terms of problems, causes, and symptoms, we'll stop trying to treat symptoms by trying to ban scrap iron from being exported and try to kill the laws of demand and supply. That's happening. Anyway, next topic, because you go promote here just now. Some more quick little foreign thing, right? This thing exactly. This is bigger foreign, right? We ain't talking Yankee news again. We're talking the British folks now. No, this is your only story. No, Honeyman Museum to return 72 artifacts to Nigeria. They implement that Horn thing, and I was see Horn has to get frightened. So this is from the BBC, right? And this story coming together for a few reasons. This is what I was talking about last week, about us renaming our things after our own heroes. Let Prince Street be Prince Brian Lara Street or Prince Swanee Street. You understand? Who else is that named Prince? If we have anybody, either a policeman Prince from up in Bellevue, you can name it Prince after he and all. I have a better chance of that than naming it after some wicked prince. Anyway, again, somewhere with this, right? So the Honeyman, the name of the museum is Honeyman. That should tell you something. A London museum says it had agreed to return to Nigeria artifacts looted in the 19th century from the Kingdom of Benin. I want to repeat that for you, right? A London museum says it has agreed to return. I don't understand how you could agree to return. You don't have no choice. It come like if I thief all the copper cable and them and I come in my yard and the police hold me for it. And I come and say, I have agreed to return all this copper to TSCT. Let me read on further. The Honeyman Museum said ownership of 72 objects would be transferred to the Nigerian government. What are these people talking about? They're brave enough. Even when you're watching BBC and you're reading this BBC story, just remember slave masters' words you're reading. Huh? Hear what that men saying, no boy. Ownership of these 72 objects will be transferred to the Nigerian government. Why do you call this what it is? Well, you thief out, loot, rob, rape, and pillage places, right? And then the people who thief out, rob, rape, and pillage, they were so celebrated that by the Queen that the Queen say, here what? I'm going to name this place after you. The capital of the place, I'm going to name it after you because you were so great to the British Empire that you took all these people things in the name of the Queen. Claim it in the name of the Queen. I'm going to give you all these things. And I must sit down here and agree with people when they say we should keep all these names and history and all this kind of thing. I have a lady I want to read. You know. I saw this going through News Source recently. Let's see if I can find back News Source quick. Renaming streets, are we erasing a reminder of our past? Now, there's a contributor, right, by the name of Patricia Biseso. Many of our street names are of historical significance and form part of our cultural identity and heritage. So the controversial question remains, are we erasing a reminder of our historical past by renaming the streets of Trinidad and Tobago? I have to assume that this is coming out of the fact that they recently renamed, if I had my round of applause I played, they recently named Pro Queen Street after Lord Kitchener and Short Street in South after incorrectly spelled Lord Ras Shorty Eye, right? So I have to assume that this is why this contributor Patricia Biseso decided to write this. Local activists say they want to break free from street names associated with our colonial heritage. Me no activist, but I want to break free from street names, monuments, buildings. I want to break free from all of it, to be honest. This group there are others in society who argue that the street names should not be changed since they serve as important reference to our history. This group postulates that even if there are some negative connotations attached to the names of some of our streets in Trinidad and Tobago, there are more important issues happening in Trinidad and Tobago that deserve priority. I like this, selective thing, you know what I mean? These are all important views expressed by our citizens. However, the fact remains that we cannot erase history to create new identities. Bam! I hate to tell you this, right? But the names that were there were names that were placed in place of erased names. The word Trinidad and Tobago is when you erase something else and put Trinidad and Tobago. So erasing things and putting it there is not erasing. You say yourself in your article say history cannot be erased, right? So everybody know the name of the place was Kyrie before. That's not erased anywhere. But a man come here and decide it's supposed to name, according to these Uber drivers, it's supposed to name, oh, Trinidad and Tobago. When you say Tobago, you get, I wish I had a negative tip. So every time they say Tobago, I could take off some of the tip from it. But this London museum, say they transferring back ownership, the objects will be transferred to the Nigerian government. All that thief thing from people. Call it your own. I want to know if when the museum that they own, right? All the proceeds that they collect from those things where they show people. I remember being at a museum in London at time. And this is tell you why I know that. No? I gone and taken picture of Rosetta Stone. This is before they had Rosetta Stone language thing, at least to my knowledge. I just see everybody talking about this Rosetta Stone and Rosetta Stone, so I taken picture. And the woman had to tell me, little white lady, she say, ah, sir, the real Rosetta Stone over here, you know, there's the replica. The real one over so well. Boy, it's about line to go and see the replica. The real one, I should say. And traveling through Europe is one of them things. Every time I see one of these very big, beautiful buildings, one of the first things I think is how much slave dead to make this, but how much black people blood flow to make this thing. So these people now talking about after they pillage and thief and rape and plunder, they come in and talk about now, I will transfer ownership to the Nigerian government. And we square. I thief your car, right? I take your car from you. I Uber that car. I Uber and make money. I run red band, maxi, blue band, maxi. I do all kind of thing and make money off of this thing. Dilapidate up your car. Depreciation going higher and higher. You know what I mean? Car value, residual value getting lower and lower. And then when you catch me with the thing now, after years of trying to prove that this is your car, when I tell you can't get it back, you simply come and say, I'm going to now revert this car. I'm going to give them back their car and transfer ownership to, boy, listen, it's one of the best I see. BBC, don't forget the slave masters reading from it. It follows a request by the Nigeria's National Commission for Museums and Monuments in January. The museum in Southeast London says it had consulted with community members, visitors, school children, academics, heritage professionals, and artists based in Nigeria and UK. All of their views on the future of Benin objects were considered alongside the provenance of the objects. Me know provenance mean, and my setup is not the same, so I can't Google that, I'm sorry. In recent years, there's been increased political pressure on European governments and museums to hand back looted artifacts. Listen, it have no handing back looted artifacts, you know, it have jail. I ain't learning nothing from Russia. Russia is teaching all that when you do the wrong thing, it's jail, lock up. But apparently not in these first world countries, not in places like England and so on. So when I hear Miss Bissessor, not Mrs. Passad Bissessor, if you're the first time listener to this podcast, be careful with how I use words interchangeably. I'm talking about Patricia Bissessor, just a contributor to the Express. No knock on her, you know. I understand people's views about this. I always remember doing them days I was at Iowa Station late in the night, doing overnights, right? And I was working with a girl by the name of Jamila. Salute Jamila. Jamila Dubari, I think is Jamila's name. Hope. And Jamila mother used to stay up and listen whole night, you know what I mean? And one time we were arguing about this on the radio, and I eventually met her. They make some good puncher cream. So I went there to buy some puncher cream and collect it a day. And she was telling me one thing said that I disagree. You know, changing the name of the streets. And because when I hear Queen Street, the only queen I acknowledge is Penny Commission, Wendy. I might even acknowledge what the next queen name? Saucy Pau. Who is the queen of Carnival? Alison. Queen Alison Hennessy. We have so much a different queen in the country. Why we must name the thing after the queen? And no queen better than our queens. But we want to go and name these things and keep these things after these people. Well, go ahead. Well, you know this thing better than me. That's it for foreign news. You know, I could get back to the local thing now. Camille Robinson Regis. The segue is terrible. I tell you late, right? Camille Robinson Regis said the Committee on Historical Monuments will show the way forward. So back to local news, Camille Robinson Regis seems to be in agreement with people, and they will continue to look at different monuments that they could change. My philosophy is that we should take all the monuments and sprinkle it across the Middle Passage from Trinidad, Jamaica, all the whole Caribbean. We should sprinkle it. You know, get some illuminating thing and sprinkle the whole journey we take to get here, so that them white people can find their way back. The Cabinet Approved Committee appointed to report on the placement of statues, monuments, historical signage, and recognition will show TNT the way forward on naming and renaming of historical sites, says Housing Minister Camille Robinson Regis on Thursday. At a media conference at the Housing Ministry's office in South Key, she said the Prime Minister has been speaking about the need to re-examine which historical figures are recognized and which historical monuments and moments should be represented. Dr. Rowley, about 2 years ago, spoke about the need to re-examine some of the historical representations in TNT with the concerns that were being expressed about the Columbus statue and certain other statues. Now, as a result of those discussions, the decision was taken some time ago to put this committee in place to look at our statues, our history, and what needs to be done. The committee will be chaired by Emerita, Professor Bridget Brereton. Members will include Dr. Easton McKenzie, Zaida Rajnath, Chief Ricardo Barat Hernandez, and Kobe Sandy. I hope I call everybody's name right there. But committee, I applaud you all. Do a good job. Let me change the thing. Don't study Miss Bisessa and them, Patricia Bisessa. I understand where you're coming from one thing, but you yourself say history cannot be rewritten. All we had to do is teach the things that were there, but teach them for what they are. If you want to rename a street after a slave master, let me know there's a wicked slave master, and let be the worst street in Trinidad to be. What's the worst street we have in Trinidad, but where you don't like to drive at all, and is that the most of the whole? You know what they could name them? Edinburgh Boulevard in 500, where they now pave over and have a big sinkhole in it again. You could name that after Columbus because the worst set of street it ever had. Or you name it after one of our heroes, and then as soon as Wassa dig it up, rename it back to one of these wicked enslavers. I don't understand why we feel so attached to these people. I often wonder if it is people know the actual history of the people that they're talking about maintaining these names. So I don't think any of these names should be maintained. So I salute this committee and I hope they continue to do a good job. I'm going to assume that this committee is responsible for a lot of the things that I'm already applauding, like Lord Kitchener, Raj Shorty. A man told me last week, call name when we talking about who should get street names first, right? I just want to say that please, as well as you all consider Lord Kitchener Street, or all y'all have done that, please give Lord Kitchener the Trinity Cross. You understand? I mean, I don't know, was the origin of some of the names? I don't want to call names because I was going to say, name the whole of Siparia after Marshall. You understand? We have some local heroes. What are they going to name a superstar? Some of the Instagram stars could get a name too, and they should name some women Tara French. Superstar. I find all these things could work for me rather than all these wicked people. Moving along. The foreigner people also seem to have an issue with. I didn't know issue with this man, but I didn't expect that people would have all these problems. As we talk about Marshall, the Guardian says lines to see Sadhguru. With the doors to the Bougainvillea Auditorium at Center Excellence in McCoy are still almost an hour away from being officially open, the lines to spend an evening with Sadhguru have already started to grow. In this image, Shastri Bhudan, we see, in this image from Shastri Bhudan, we see Emily Sanoa Wright and Vasant Basdeo. Among those in the line to see the spiritual leader. This evening's event featuring Marshall Montano is being presented by Guardian Media Limited, written by Joel Julian. I realized something about Joel Julian, right? That's my boy, right? But it don't matter what Joel writes, it's just controversial. Whatever it is Joel Julian decides to put pen to paper, because I find this the simplest little thing I ever see is the shortest story. The thing are 3 paragraphs. Each paragraph is 1 line. You would think that this is a throwaway thing and they have a busy man like him. But everything the man writes seems to be leading to some kind of controversy because the comment section went wild. I didn't expect that so much people would be bothered by this in any way. So Sadhguru coming to Trinidad, this is an issue for people. Well, let me just help you in the comments, right? One of the more prominent people in the comments was Inshan Ishmael, whose comment basically said, our next Benny Hinn. Our next Benny Hinn that all these people follow. You know, there was a meme that used to go around where, you remember the meme where somebody holding a little cartoon thing, right? But they holding your mouth like this. They're holding your mouth tight. And say, let people enjoy things. Why do people can't go and see the little Sadhguru and them kind of thing? I'm not the most religious person. I don't think Sadhguru himself preaches religion. And so, a matter of fact, he might be anti-religion from the little bit I listen to him. I find his Instagram posts on them nice, a little funny and jovial. I listened to his Joe Rogan podcast. I find it was pretty good. He was on Joe Rogan, I should say, and I enjoy it. I like listening to him. I like listening to people that bring some wisdom to the table. I was telling you last week about the idea of sermons and the way religious people should I say, inspire me, or the way I like any wisdom coming from them, to put it simply. Sadhguru is one of them people, a spiritual leader, if you want to call him non-religious, a spiritual leader. I find him man have vibes, so I like the idea of listening to him and just getting a sense and a feel for his perspective on the world, and it helps me to see things differently. It helps me to wise up myself. I find good. Now, I did find Marshall was following him little hook, line, and sinker behind him. He threw the whole, you know what I mean? Marshall, like, he went inside Guru clothes, he drew the beard thing, you know what I mean? Man, shaving again. He going through a whole spiritual reawakening, if you want to call it that, right? My words. And I was saying, I hope nobody trying to scam a good Marshall, a good Marshall at this stage in his career. I hope he ain't getting scammed. But, and I tell myself, I also selfishly, didn't want to see Marshall just turn into Sadhguru and hit me a Christopher Tambu Herbert, and then he ain't singing none of them song again. You know what I mean? I want to hear Marshall. If he turn into Sadhguru, you know, probably imagine Marshall not performing ever again in the carnival. That ain't gonna be nice. A Tambu you hit me, give you all them hits and thing, and then you go on, you retire. You join the church, or you join the Sadhguru. Sadhguru have a church, a temple, a mosque, a ashram. You go on and you join that, and then we hear nothing from you again. I wouldn't like it. But I don't understand why Inchan Ishmael feel the need in the comment on a public forum to poo-poo all the people who go on and line up and saying the people like what they like, Inchan. No, you know, you just have your people following you, not in a spiritual way, but you do your giveaways, several giveaways. I always give him credit for that. You're giving away food, you're giving away back to school things. He did a lot of it during COVID. And he's also, I wonder if he would consider himself an activist, because he stands up and when he get a chance, he blame the, I shouldn't say blame, but he will take on the government or take on the bodies or the powers that be, if he, and the opposition too, to be fair. And I mean, you have your following. I don't find anything wrong with it. I don't feel there's no Benny Hinn. But later on in the comments, when people are trying to say, well, why you had to say something bad and I lost all respect for you, and maybe he saw the backlash in that, and he started to say, well, you have a very anti-Muslim stance. I suppose you come in and say Sadhguru anti-Muslim, so he's Benny Hinn. I don't know if them two things are parallel, but as one of the persons in the comments had said, he kind of anti all religions, because he see what religion do into society, and there are so many people who anti all religions but could find enough to respect any religion or anything like that. So I just don't like the idea of trying to make everybody feel bad about going and follow the place. You know, people line up for so long. It's like, why you have to do this? But I realize the moral of this story, and the reason I decided to talk about that, is simply because everything Joel Julian published is fodder for controversy. All right, so I had to talk about this, who won and all this kind of thing. I had to get into this. I don't like these kind of things. These things make me feel very uneasy. And to say very quickly, right, that if you don't know the backstory to this, and Roberts make a video. I don't know how to play the video and thing. In a new space here, I don't know how to do nothing. So I just go and tell you what has happened, right? And Roberts make a video. And I personally, I find sometimes it's hard to listen to Arnold Roberts. I used to love hearing him talk about sports, and when he had Spork and them kind of thing. He's one of the best people we ever had to talk about sports in this country. And I ain't minimizing what nobody should do. I ain't trying to say that he should go. You know, somebody had tell not Kevin Garnett, Kevin Durant, shut up and dribble. Was it Kevin? No, LeBron James. They tell him shut up and dribble. I don't agree with that sentiment. You know, a man is multifaceted. He's a very bright fellow. If I'm not mistaken, he's a Fatima man. If he's not a Fatima man, then he went St. Mary's, and I might understand all this behavior. But I think he's a Fatima man and things. So me, I'm nothing against the fellow. But I just find him hard to listen to. And maybe it's PTSD for me, but the man aggressive when he talking, like, you could be talking about something and against somebody, but he's got to be like, you, right? You're so Rowley, Keith Rowley, you're Rowley. God. And it'll mind your blood pressure, you know. You have to keep calm, you know what I mean? We need you along for a long time. We need more swimmers to come out and win gold medal. Look how much gold medal winners we had in the Commonwealth. You could be one of the people who have these swimmers and we need you around for a long time. You don't have to be so angry. Like, every time you're going to make a video, just rub out your brow here. Rub it out. Rub it out. Just massage it. You know what I mean? And do one of them, with the permission of Inchan Ishmael, see if Sadhguru could give some little pointers to see if you could calm yourself down and keep yourself in a nice little zone. And then you could say all the things that you was going to say about how terrible this government is and how Fitzgerald lazy and all the different things that you say. You could say all them things without hotting up your head, man. Meanwhile, your blood pressure rise too much. But I find this video was a lot because he went into this video to say somebody horn the horner, man. It's time to listen. I could wake up these Yankee, you know. Let me see how my Yankee I could wake up in this studio. Yes?
Like he on a mission, oh yeah, terrorizing old man, messing with the woman.
So listen. Now, remember I am home, right? So me know how to turn on this and how to fade out and that, you know? But Anil, I find Anil telling this story and he looking very, very angry. So I say, well, what is Rowley and them do now? You know what I mean? Something had to happen in this place for Anil to be so upset. Not knowing, Anil is laughing, talking about how much Rowley, how much woman you have, and how much woman you do the man, how much children you bring home twins and all this. I me never know all this. He say, Sharon, you know what I mean? Any special approach. I don't want to talk nothing too loud and I want to mumble. They're saying that somebody has somebody in somewhere special branch or something of somewhere. And that the man is not COVID, not COVID, it's a banker. Let me tell you something. Beyond all the politics and the yellow and the red, you know me, and the ketchup and the mustard and the relation, them fellas want to fight up with one another and thing, right? It still have man code. I thought it still had man code, right? This is what I could be wrong about this, but I tell myself it still have man code in this place where it has certain things that you're just simply not going to do or not going to say. When it comes to men, right? Forget all the work and all the politics and all them things. There are certain things man don't do and man don't make joke. Now, I'll tell you something. It has some partners, and I talk about them all the time. These is fellas who, no matter what has happened, them men go and come and make a joke out there. There's some friends go tell you, boy, sorry to hear you going through that. You know what I mean? All we get with a little butt before, right? Let me talk to the fellas, right? You get a little butt, you find out a little thing. You know, some of we who like to go through handbag and phone and them kind, you find out something, you know. Or sometimes you might be like, what Anil say? You about 3 up. You don't know thing all about. But when you find out now, it just hurt you harder when you know you was out there and you're telling yourself you have a woman that will never happen. I see a man in the comments say that, and a man say, boy, if you're the prime minister, you're in control of the whole treasury. And you could still get a butt and be full. Who is me? You know what I mean? Who is that man who like to say, my woman never... Boy, listen, when you find out them thing have a different kind of hotfulness. Bright sunny days is got kind of darkness about them. So, you always had this partner who, when they come, they'll say, boy, a thing, and they start to talk about them war stories now, and we start to talk war stories, and we take to drink, but it's some other partners, when them see you, they go say, boy, soul their belly hot in here. Plain. So he was running up and down, now you get back your butt, you're hot and what you them is good friends out too, because them is the man who is making you realize no matter where you're going through, you're going to laugh, everything will be all right. Maybe that way he need now, instead of saying COVID and you're home, you have a partner who can come and say, where that partner feel, boy? I don't know who that partner could be. And listen, Anil, them first and them are plenty lawyer and thing, because I just frightened to call name here. I wish I could just talk to the people who's listening to this podcast alone, so that I don't get in no trouble for calling nobody name and them thing, but them is call name brave because he started to talk about this one. Well, this one he was with this one wife, and now the man wife must be laughing, and this one laughing. He was with he woman. I thinking, but this is a lot. Like, dude, I don't caught again. Nobody, what's going on? But you always had a partner who come and girl talk and laugh. That I could understand because he's friend and in close circumstances, that same friend who gave you that talk will defend you in public if anybody come to say anything like that about you. That would be the first friend who come and say, hey, listen, you can't say that. Don't say that. Don't say that about that man. Not that man, boy. You understand? But since when we making a public thing, laughing at a man who go into a household situation, this is not against man code. Like, this is not things that we do. You know what I mean? When we do it, maybe we have other people we can name Queen Street after. Why we doing this? This is not, I don't find that funny. I don't find that it's no fun. I wouldn't do no man that a stranger. As a matter of fact, there have situations I've been in, right, where I want to be very careful with my words, right? I may, in this situation, that have givers and receivers. Let me be careful with my words. I can almost get loose there because I'm home. You have givers and receivers, right? In this situation, I might have been a giver. And with me giving and having a little something with somebody, the receiver, which is the somebody fella, right? He's the receiver in the situation and I's the giver. And the roles have changed sometimes. All of us had situations where we was the receiver and we was the giver, if we're being honest, right? But the thing about it is, I wouldn't even laugh at the man who's the receiver in this situation. And when I was the giver, I don't even want the man find out. I had the best decorum. I had the best. Them days that I know. I don't know how people is working now, because now is a different time in terms of the phone thing and the camera thing and it's problems. But, and maybe that's why everybody know the Prime Minister business, you know what I mean? I'm sure he's not the first Prime Minister to be giver, neither giver nor receiver. He's not the first. And she's not the first lady to be neither giver nor receiver. This is life, right? But back in the day when you had regular SMS and you had BBM and all these kind of things, you have to make sure, listen, if you're making sure me a text you after a certain hour, and if you say bye, I don't respond no bye back. There's a certain code to this thing. I don't want to make no trouble in nobody's household. So neither giver nor receiver is a good position to be in. I prefer be the giver. But I don't want to laugh at the receiver neither and make no mockery of the man and say this, that, and the third. That's not happening at all. But all of a sudden it's a laughing matter. And the boss in the PDP basically coming out and saying, early, you should try unconditional love. I thinking, but listen, all you fellas, all in particular, all you forget, all you Coco in his son. Anyway, talking about Coco in his son, I'll get out of here just so, right? So, I want to read an article from June 30th by Giassi Gonzalez. Headlined, Friendly Fire Foolishness. It was murder, says Jacob. The suspect wanted for Friday's shooting death of police officer Diego Martin remained on the run yesterday despite 80 plus officers looking for him. Acting Commissioner of Police McDonald Jacob also rubbished reports about friendly fire on Friday night as he responded to questions that PC Clarence Gilks was shot by one of his colleagues. Jacob spoke to the Express after visiting Rich Plain. I want to go to his quote. While on the scene on Friday, the Express was told by several residents, all requesting anonymity, that PC Gilks was shot by one of his own. That is a lot of hogwash in relation to the circumstances in which the incident happened. He went further to say, our officer is shot in the neck from the front and we're talking about friendly fire. This is what we're talking about. We have to get serious in this country in relation to this, as we are constantly giving merit to persons who are involved in activities in our land. We are asking persons to be more serious, focused in the way things are going, because we provide support for criminal elements. Sooner or later, it will become the same persons who will turn on them. Funny statement. Let me read that last part. We are asking persons to become more serious and focused in the way things are going, because as they provide support for criminal elements, sooner or later, it will be the same persons who will turn on them. Fast forward to August 6th. Murder charge for cop and PC Gilks killing. One of the police officers detained in relation to the killing of Constable Clarence Gilks has been charged with murder. The Express understands that the officer was also charged with shooting with intent and perverting the course of public justice. A second officer also faced the charges of shooting with intent and perverting the course of the public justice. She was placed on 500,000 bail. So, fast forward to now. Male and female officer, both charged, one with murder and one with perverting the course of justice. Two of them charged, right? Now, I want you to go back to how forceful and sure the police commissioner was that all this talk about friendly fire was hogwash. So go to the point where he basically saying, listen, we don't want to hear nothing about that. We don't want to hear about no friendly fire and all you're supporting the criminal elements in the communities. And that going on backfire on all you soon. I'm feeling like it backfire on you, McDonald Jacob. I'm feeling like you're the man who the whole thing backfire on. Because you were so sure. Then you start to soften your stance and say that, well, we have to continue to look, and the guy could come in, and when he come in, we will investigate. And you start to soften your stance all of a sudden. And now you're saying, well, his statement now is that basically, well, I told you all we will investigate and we'll bring people to justice, and this is what we're doing now. I want to say first and foremost that charges is not justice. Charges being laid against somebody is a starting point of when justice could be sought. And after all, you decide what you're doing in terms of conviction, then you can tell more about justice, right? But I suppose you do your part, you investigate and you bring them to the courts is what you're supposed to do. My question is this. You said that you were so forceful and so sure about this, and you said that you were misled by your officers, right? Well, if you were misled by your officers, McDonald Jacob, could you let me know if it's two people who mislead you and these are the two people who get charges? Because I would expect the person who shoots him to get charges. I would expect the person who conspired for this to get charges too, which is why I'm reading that those two people were charged. But I would also expect McDonald Jacob that all the officers who carry this story for you and tell you that, hey, this is what happened, man, he gets shoot. I want to know if all of them get some kind of charges because to use your term, right? If you continue to protect corrupt police, just like what you're telling me, if you continue to protect criminals, that's a fair statement, right? But if you continue to protect corrupt police, one day it is going to turn on you. So I'm hoping that somehow or the other I could hear, because maybe you're still doing investigations, but I want to know what are the consequences when the commissioner of police show up on a site. And I say again, compared to Gary Griffith, this is one of the only times I ever see you show up on the ground anywhere. Because say what you want about Gary, but every major incident in this country, whether it's protests, it's FET, it's big traffic, it's SOE, even if it's heavy rain, you're going to see Gary on spot, which call that false sense of security, right? Give me a false sense of security, because in Trinidad and Tobago, any sense of security in this place is a good one, right? But I just want to know, when you came down from the Ivory Tower and you went down there and you see the scene, because a policeman gets shot, when normal man gets shot, I don't see you. But me, I have cataract and I can't see so well. But when you was there, you come down to defend your police officers because you hear the story. Now, I expect that to be the case. If your police officers tell you X, Y, Z is what happened, I would think that as a good boss. If, this happened to me at a time on a conference call with my father. We was talking to accountants in Jamaica, and the accountant didn't get anything right at all. And the man, I may know if it's me trying to throw under the bus, but he come and he call and he say, so, Mr. Corby, I would like to know what you would want me to do if Corey tell you to write. If Corey comes and tells me to write a check for so-and-so to him, what you would want him to do? Daddy said, well, I expect they will write the check to the man. He said, but that don't mean he ain't go account for it and say, well, what the check was for. I find it such a reasonable response. So I want to extend that amount of reasonability again to McDonald Jacob. So say that, okay, I expect that when you come on the scene, you will believe your staff, you will believe your colleagues, your employees, you will believe your charges, because that's what we're supposed to do as part of the job. But as my father, when the phone call end, my father come and tell me, he said, Corey, here we go now. He said, if I dealing with these people, I dealing with these issues. He said, you have to make sure you dot your I's and cross your T's, make sure you give the people the payment voucher or whatsoever the things, so that you're covered in terms of any monies that requested from the company flowing in or out, And it makes sense. So, McDonald Jacob, this is your opportunity now that you put your faith in the officers. I feel that was the best thing to do, is the prudent thing to do at the time. I don't think it was wise to say it's murder and all thing, all wrong. You should have just said, well, the story again from officers is X, and we trying to bring people to justice, and that's all you had to say. You are not no jury. All you're saying is you're looking for the right people to lay charges, you're investigating, and it shows that you know the right words to say, because when this story change a little bit, you find all the right words and you find all the measured ways of approaching it, right? Cool. So take this opportunity now to come and tell us that, okay, we have two people now and they're charged, but we still gathering evidence against those officers who would have misled the police commissioner and would have misled the country, because we cannot continue to carry people like that in the police force. Only they put him out. It getting dark. I want to read two more things and get out of here. I'm not talking to blending because I don't know how to do it. But I want to say first and foremost, congratulations to our athletes, our medalists at the Commonwealth Games. Salute to them. Pretend I play a round of applause there. Gold medals for Nicholas Paul in the cycling, for Jereme Richards in the 200, and then for Dwight St. Hilaire, Asara Guevara, Marshall Cedeno, and Jereme Richards, along with the team members Che Lara and Kashif King, in the men's 4x400 meter finals, closing off the athletics in the game. Silver medal for Jared Elcock, Eric Harrison Jr. Or as the alternates, but the team running for the silver medal as well to Nicholas Paul, sorry. And then silver medal to Akani Hislop, Kyle Griot, Keon Benjamin for the 4x100 relay. I only seen three people, but Eric Harrison and Jared Elcock. I know who I'll leave out there. And then a bronze for Nicholas Paul in cycling. Nicholas Paul doing something special. Let's salute to the people at MCE cycling and everything. Nicholas Paul is something special, and I hope that we continue this momentum into our next World Games and into the Olympics. Because you know that's a big boy thing, right? That's where the action is happening. But I'm happy to read an article this week saying that there are some disbursements to be made to these athletes. You know what I mean? Where it's already predetermined that if you win gold in the Commonwealth Games or games at this level, you have a 250 to collect. So Nicholas had that to collect. Dream, I hope you have 500 to collect. One for your individual goal and one for your relay goal. And then 125 for the silvers and all them kind of things. So Nicholas Paul's supposed to be walking around a good piece of money because he get bronze, silver, and gold. So he's supposed to get 75 and 125 and a 250. That's supposed to be nice, you know what I mean? That's what I like. That's what I find we should continue to do for our athletes, where we outline exactly what people are supposed to get before they go to the games. Because we know we're not so great with the funding. Somehow, I hope we get better with that over time. But at least there's something in place. And I don't want to give credit to Shamfa Kudra as the Minister of Sport, right? And I'm not sure if she implemented that. That's not what I'm saying, but I'm glad. I've been saying this for some time. We need to be able to tell athletes up front, okay, these are the things you get when you go to these games. For appearing in the games, we will give you X. For reaching the final, this is what you will get. For any medal, this is what you will get over the ranks, because in the famous words of my boy Show in Lamette, there's no price to be put on national pride. I don't agree with that too much. Put a price on it now so people know what they're getting overall. And then last but not least, in this short version of the podcast, I'm going back to, hey, I think I leave my credit card home. Yes, people must have done that. Must have melt. Let me get out here and do this quicker. I saw Loop News putting out something that's saying that 12 and under is back with new format and purpose. 12 and under is back. The beloved talent series, which ran on TTT and was hosted by the great Hazel Ward Redmond. All that is Queen, you could name street after. It should be named the Hazel Ward Redmond Highway. Anyway, aka Auntie Hazel is back with a new format and purpose. Attorney Christoph Braffett is the man behind the revival of the show, which served as a pipeline for several of the country's top dancers, singers, and entertainers in the past. Braffett told Loop News that growing up, he was a fan of the series, even though he chickened out of an audition for the show. But it left an indelible mark on him. The former St. Benedict's College student has been involved in arts and entertainment for years, working behind the scenes for various events and promotions. As an attorney, he specializes in entertainment, intellectual property, and sports law. Quoted as saying, I saw Scouting for Talent 12 and Under Mastana Bahar, and I thought I could have reformatted these shows, packages, and it could become interesting. And what better time, given the things happening in our society now with the crime surge, to encourage it. So I want to say salute to him, salute to everybody involved in this. They said that artists and stakeholders such as Marshall Montano, Bungie Garland, Fan Lions, Grammy Award-winning producer Dexter Simmons, Dynasty actor Christoph Robert Riley, Caesar's Army producer Jules Sobian, Question Mark CEO Simon Batiste, and Sunset Diner Dave Cooper will be among the mentors. This is going to be hosted by the great Vonnet Bigfoot, who's been putting on our own show, and they say the local Met Gala for some time. And Vonnet is deserving of this. I'm very, very happy to see her hold that space. I think she will do amazing, because I don't think our little country could deal with anything like America's Got Talent and them kind of brutal shows where the aim seems to be entertainment by embarrassment. I like the idea of going right back to 12 and under teen. Is that something called Teen Talent? 12 and under, Mastana Bahar, Teen Talent or something like that. Party Time, all these types of shows where it was about showcasing and developing our local talent so that we continue to rise beyond the levels that we are now, and also to give youths some hope, basically. If we could give youths more hope and something to look forward to and something to aspire towards. And what I would want all to do, right? Don't be like me and be so don't be so rooted to the past that you're expecting to see the exact same thing like Hazel Ward Redman and what's my boy who used to play the piano? I think it's Maurice Bishop. I know I have that right. Uncle Maurice. I think it was Maurice. Don't be looking for that same thing, because it's probably not that we're gonna get. But we're gonna get some version of it that I feel could work and showcase the talent of these youths, even though the talent has changed from what it used to be before. Let them come and showcase the talent as is, because youths need an outlet. And just like I was saying about the sports people, these are the people who typically give the national pride, the artists, the creatives, the sports people, and so on. So why not put us in this place? And I've seen plenty business people, plenty artists behind it. I appreciate that and I salute that. And I'm even more happy that Vonnet Bigfoot is one of the people behind it. So I think I've done it now, and I have about 3 minutes before I go. So here I was looking for a song by Christopher Tambu Herbert. And I can't find none on Apple Music because I'm in these people country, and when you try to play it on YouTube, it's heavy advertisement playing. So I'm playing this song to close off the episode for no particular reason. I see you only because they will come and promote, but I will see you all next week. Bye-bye. And I'm the most committed man in this podcast world, right? Just let it be known. Don't let me hear only talk about nothing but no Tuesday again, Yes. If this experience teach me anything, I had to do some more studio, right? And now seeing what thing does look like when it's in focus and it's nice. And when you have a little background and thing, I will step up my game, right? I will step up.
Young man, ask for my opinion about a lady you want to marry. You're walking, no. You're joking, no. You're stealing, no. You're dealing, no. You're looking for hun, plenty hun, boy. You're looking for hun. You going to get hun, boy. Why you want to marry? You don't have no money. You ain't working no way. You don't have a payday. You think it's so. The thing does work. You think it's so. I wish you luck. Without money to buy honey, you're heading for misery. She want hairdo and calado, and you ain't have nothing. Somebody will horn you. You better believe it. Somebody will horn you. I hope you will take it, partner. Young fella, I think you should consider, yeah, employment
For enjoyment. All right, I'm pausing because I don't know how to fade out and thing, right? Sorry. But the man say, consider employment before enjoyment. But I just want to leave all on the wise words that the highest job in the country, who clearly consider employment before enjoyment, going through the same thing that all of us go through. So we're going to sympathize and empathize. But until then, I will see you all next week. Bye.